Introduction to the Principles of Value. While property values may be based on the previous sales in the area, the condition of the property, and other factors, there are certain principles of value that will also be evaluated during an appraisal. Understanding these principles will help you understand the value of nearly any property. The principle of anticipation. While the basis of real estate valuation may appear to be based on today's dollar, the value is tied to the benefits the property may offer the buyer in the future. For example, while an appraiser will look at demographics and growth of the neighborhood in the past, this is also used to apply a future value to the property. There are some practical ways to look at this. For example, let's say a local neighborhood that is designed for families has no school or playground. If there is an indication that a playground and a school are in the works, the property in the neighborhood will likely increase because of the anticipation of what will happen in the future. The principle of change. Over time, there are several factors that change the estimated value of property. Changing market conditions, such as supply and demand, interest rates, and property conditions, will have an impact on the value assigned to a property. The simple way to look at this is the aging of property. Homes which are built around the same time tend to age in similar manners. However, if someone purchases an empty lot in the neighborhood and builds a home that is similar in style, the newer home will have a lower value simply because the other properties in the area are older and not as modern. If you recall, when analyzing a property value, the appraiser will most probably use the sales comparison approach. The principle of competition. Supply and demand is always a factor in property valuation. The more buyers there are, the higher the demand for a property, thus driving the value up. The fewer the buyers, or the more properties that exist, the lower the value of the property. One could reasonably apply this to a subdivision comprised of split ranch homes which are primarily 3-bedroom homes. If there are 100 available 3-bedroom homes, and there are 200 buyers looking for 3-bedroom homes, those properties become more valuable due to the number of buyers. The flip side of this would be if there are 200 available homes and there are only 100 buyers who are looking for this size home. The property would have a lesser value. The principle of conformity. There are times when being unique is invaluable. When you are building a home or looking at homes in a particular neighborhood, conformity is actually a better option. This is because the value of a home that is unique in the area will typically be lower than if the home was similar to others in the area. An example of this would be if you have a neighborhood that is primarily split ranch homes, and one of the homes in the area is an old Victorian style home. The Victorian home will be valued lower than it might be if it were located in a neighborhood that had similar properties, because it is considered non-conforming. The principle of contribution. The features of a home will impact the value of the home. However, the value of features may be different from one person to another. For example, A gourmet kitchen may seem like an attractive selling point unless your buyer is a single person who eats out most nights. A selling feature like an in-law apartment may be ideal for a couple who has a parent or older child sharing their home, but may not seem valuable for a couple with toddlers. Another example of this would be an area that is primarily designed for senior citizens. The potential buyers of these properties would be looking for amenities which may not be sought after for younger buyers, such as a community center, handicapped bathrooms, etc. The better the amenities available for the target audience for the property, the more likely the property is to be valuable to those who are seeking to purchase, and thus the property values are higher. One would not anticipate seeing a playground designed for young children in a senior living development. Highest and best use. One would not expect to use a single-family home as a restaurant, nor would one expect to house a family in a property that was previously a restaurant. The highest and best use for a property may also pertain to the legal use of that property. Again, a town or city would frown on using a restaurant as a home and vice versa. Commercial properties are most often subjected to this valuation method, where it is important to understand what the best use of the property is that will yield the highest net income. Specific types of income-producing properties may not be easily adapted to other uses. For example, a gas station cannot be easily converted to a restaurant. Income-producing properties are also impacted by the residents of the surrounding area. For example, an arcade may thrive in a neighborhood which attracts families with children, but may not do as well in a neighborhood that is primarily geared towards seniors. Therefore, the better use of that property may be a convenience store, a pharmacy, or a coffee shop. Increasing and diminishing returns. Property improvements typically increase the value of a property. For example, let's take a single-family home with only 2 bedrooms. If a property owner adds a single bedroom, the value of the property will typically increase. This is particularly true if most of the similar homes in the area have 3 bedrooms. However, if you add 2 bedrooms onto the home, you may see a decrease in value because you are now facing the challenges that come with the property not conforming to the other homes in the area. There is another way to look at this. Let's assume for a moment properties in the neighborhood consist of primarily 4-bedroom homes with gourmet kitchens. However, 1 or 2 homes in the neighborhood were built 15 years ago and have 2 bedrooms and a standard kitchen. In this instance, the larger homes may suffer a small decrease in value, while the smaller homes may see a small increase. However, if the 2 smaller homeowners decide to upgrade their homes to 5 bedrooms with a gourmet kitchen, the extra bedroom is excessive and therefore does nothing to further increase the value of the property. The addition of the first 2 bedrooms does bring the home value up, as does the addition of the gourmet kitchen. Principle of substitution. Real estate values are impacted by the ability to acquire another property that is both desirable and similar in a short period of time. Here is how to think about how this applies to the value of a home. If a seller lists a home for sale for $300,000 and other similar homes in the area are selling for $265,000, then chances are the home for sale is considered above market value. If the cost of new construction on a similar home is $255,000, then the property for sale is still too high. Substitution would be less expensive than the listing price. There is an important distinction that must be noted in the statement, ability to acquire another property that is both desirable and similar in a short period of time. The period of time is also a consideration. For example, let's say you need to replace a 3-bedroom home for a displaced family. Also, let's say that every 3-bedroom home in the area is occupied and has not turned over in several years. Suddenly, one of these homes is up for sale. Because of the scarcity of that type of property, the value assigned would be higher. This naturally relates back to supply and demand. Principle of regression. Real estate values are tied to the values of property in the area. Think about the structure of most subdivisions. Each property conforms to a similar size, style, and therefore each has a similar value. Let's assume for a moment the subdivision is comprised of 2-bedroom homes and abuts 2 roads that have no property built on them. The property on those 2 roads is subsequently sold to someone who manages owner-occupied mobile homes. As a result, the subdivision is now surrounded by 2 mobile home parks that are individually valued, since mobile homes are generally valued lower than standalone residential homes. Therefore, the higher valued properties in the subdivision will be considered worth less because of the surrounding property values. Principle of progression. The opposite of regression is progression. Let's use the subdivision we referenced above and take a look at what happens if a developer were to purchase the property on the 2 abutting roads. This developer specializes in high-end luxury homes, and the properties which are built are 3-bedroom, 2-bath, luxury homes with high-end features. These properties are going to be worth more on the marketplace, and therefore the properties in the subdivision, while lesser in size and luxury, are going to increase modestly in price. This is because the higher-end homes are going to give a perceived value to the other homes in the neighborhood. As a real estate professional, you must be aware of these principles for assisting sellers in listing properties at a price that will be likely to facilitate a sale. Understanding how these principles impact the overall value of a single property, as well as the surrounding properties, is important. Fortunately, you have the benefit of using a professional appraisal, so these factors are generally already considered in the property value.